Good evening and welcome everyone to the council meeting. Would my chaplain please open the meeting with a prayer? This also allows time for personal reflection before we start the business of the meeting.
Let us pray. We pray for our mayor and all our councillors as they make important decisions for our communities in Torbay. We ask, Lord, that you will give them courage and wisdom in all their deliberations. Always mindful of the privilege of living in the Bay, the wider opportunities for our area, as well as the most vulnerable in our communities. Amen.
I request attendees to observe in a minute's silence as a mark of respect in the memory of former soldier Jack Jennings, who was thought to be the last surviving veteran of the infamous Burma Railway, and former councillor Peter Addis. Mr. Jennings, a Torquay resident, passed away at the age of 104, and Mr. Addis passed away at the age of 86. Our thoughts are with the families and friends. Please be seated. The purpose of this meeting is to deal with a number of major issues for the well-being of Torbay and best interests of the community. My role as civic mayor is to ensure that today's agenda is dealt with efficiently and to allow fairness throughout discussions. As you are aware, the meeting is governed by strict procedures and standing orders. To make sure the meeting is run fairly, I expect healthy discussion and respectful speeches by councillors, and I will not allow repetition. I will also not allow any disrespectful personal comments against other councillors, barracking, talking across the chamber, or talking loudly amongst yourselves. If I see any of these behaviours, I will stop the debate to call the meeting to order, and I will not hesitate to use standing orders to remove councillors from the meeting. If members wish to make a point of order or personal explanation, I will consider on a case-by-case basis when I take these. Although standing orders allow individuals to be seated during their speeches, I would prefer, if whenever possible, councillors to stand and when addressing the council, so that you can be clearly seen and heard. When speaking, please ensure your microphones are turned on. If members wish to leave the meeting before it is finished, please allow Standing Order A25.7 and give your apologies before you leave via the Head of Governance Support. Please note that we are live streaming this meeting via the Council's YouTube channel to encourage more people to engage in our public meetings. The proceedings of the Council meeting will also be recorded. Please can attendees refrain from watching live stream. This will cause interference for our viewers. We are not expecting any fire alarm testing today. In the event of evacuation, you will hear a recorded message requesting you to evacuate the building. Please leave by the nearest exit. The Riviera Centre staff will assist you. Once outside, please assemble in front of the tennis courts to the seaward side of the building. Please also ensure that all mobile phones and iPads are turned to silent. I will call a break if the meeting is going beyond 7 p.m. Are there any apologies for absence?
Mr Mayor, we only have one apology from Councillor Barbara Lewis. Everyone else is present.
Thank you. I propose the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of December 2023 be signed as a correct record. Seconder.
I'll second that.
I will now take the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Have any members any non-pecuniary or disclosable pecuniary interests in any of the matters on today's agenda? Have any officers any personal interest in any of the matters on today's agenda? Thank you. I have no announcements to make. Has the leader of the council any announcements that he wishes to make?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last week, I was pleased to welcome the Levelling Up Minister, Jacob Young, to Torbay, as he announced the publication of proposals for a devolution deal for Devon and Torbay that could redraw the future relationship with Whitehall and transfer a range of powers and funding to local democratic control. This is a big step forward on our devolution journey. The proposals would enable more decisions to be taken locally on things that matter to local people, such as building more affordable homes, investing in new quality jobs and skills, and improving public transport. Subject to public consultation, the new powers would be devolved to a proposed county combined authority as a partnership comprising of councillors representing the councils of both Devon and Torbay, including district councils and representatives from business and education. Together, the partnership would deliver on a jointly agreed programme, working alongside a wide range of other local stakeholders to big local priorities. So now that the proposed Devon and Torbay devolution deal has been published, the next step will be to carry out a public consultation on the draft proposal to establish the combined county authority, which will hopefully launch on the 12th of February of this year. Views will be invited from residents, from MPs, from businesses, from partner organisations, town and parish councils, community, voluntary sector groups. We and Devon County Council will consider all of the responses to the consultation and determine at our respective council meetings whether to submit a final proposal to the Secretary of State. Our meeting of the full council is scheduled for the 30th of April. If approved at that meeting, it is anticipated that the combined county authority would be created later this year following parliamentary process. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dave Lewis. No. Dave Thomas. I understand the Chief Executive doesn't have has no announcements that she wishes to make. Has the Overview and Scrutiny Co-ordinator any announcements that he wishes to make?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And there's just a couple of small points I'd like to share with colleagues. I'd like to thank Cabinet and senior officers for their time in which the priority and resources meetings have reviewed the Cabinet's initial budget proposals, and these will be signed off next week by the Overview and Scrutiny Board formally as far as our thoughts on these. I'd also like to alert members that at our last formal meeting of Overview and Scrutiny, we did trigger a call to action where we've got a report going into the felling of the palm trees in Torbay. That was a unanimous decision, and we will have an interim report feeding back to us in February with a full report feeding back to our meeting in March as to the whys, the wheres and so forth around who knew what and when and why it was actioned. And then finally, I'd like to acknowledge the sterling work, the spotlight review that was undertaken by the Children's Services Overview and Scrutiny Board, or the Children's Overview and Scrutiny Board, into child and adolescent mental health services. I know it draw out some key challenges there, and there's been some opportunities to engage again with service users that's borne fruit, and it's heartening to note that the JTI that was recently published earlier on this week, the inspection of some of those areas of activity by the local authority, bears out the findings of that board. So thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Steve Darling. I would like to vary the order of business on today's agenda to enable item 6 on the agenda, members' questions, to be considered after item 11, composition and constitution of the Cabinet, and record the delegation of executive functions. I move to item number 7, notice of motion with 20 mile an hour neighbourhoods. Please refer to page 23. Can Councillor Fox please put this motion to the Council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Basically, following the receipt of information, comments from the Finance Officer, I wish to amend at the end of my notice of motion as follows. So I'll read the last couple of paragraphs. In the light of this and the interests of community safety, therefore Cabinet, so difference there, recommended as part of the Cabinet's final budget proposals, consideration be given to allocating £100,000 to £150,000 from the additional government monies to expedite the delivery of the 20 mile an hour zones for neighbourhoods in close proximity to schools within Torbay. I'm happy to answer questions later. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Fox. Councillor Verdi, please respond and confirm you accept the changes to the original notice of motion as proposed by Councillor Fox.
Yeah, I confirm the changes. I'd also like to add, if we as a council can't find £150,000 for the safety of our residents and our school children within those zones, then we've failed in our duty to give them that money to make the changes.
Thank you, Councillor Verdi. This motion now stands referred to the Cabinet for consideration at its meeting on the 13th of February 2024. I move to item 8, to the Resources and Waste Management Strategy 2020-2023. Please refer to page 28. Can Councillor Billings please put the Cabinet's motion to the Council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, members, you'll see before you in the papers on page 28 a very small but important change to the wording, and that change is to make it clear that we will maintain fortnightly residual waste collections. This follows the Conservative manifesto commitment to, and I quote, keep a fortnightly wheelie bin collection. Now, I think members across the chamber, we could understand that the regularity of residual waste collections or wheelie bin collections, as many of our residents will recognise it, is an important matter. For example, since I've taken over the portfolio, I've been very keen to ensure that within our waste collection services we provide equality in the way we collect from all households across Torbay. And so, for example, councillors By and Joyce, about 200 of your residents were written to in the Wellswood ward. They were previously getting weekly residual waste collections. They've been brought into line fortnightly, like the rest of our residents. Councillors Mandy Darling, Councillor Law and Councillor Pentney, again 860 of your residents were also in receipt of weekly collections for residual waste. They've been brought into line, so they're getting fortnightly like the rest of us. And engaging with residents when those queries came in, I'm sure councillors, you felt this, that there was lots of concern from residents to ensure that a regularity was maintained, even for people that were going from 1 week to 2 weeks, like the vast majority of people in Torbay. And so, recognising that everyone now is in receipt of a fortnightly collection, I think it right and proper to give clarity to residents that that is the regularity they expect long-term going forwards, and that's what this small textual change does. So it makes it very clear, members, that the fortnightly wheelie bin collections is what we can offer over the long term of this council to our residents. So that's the motion, the very small change that I put before us, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Billings. Is there a second?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to second the motion and reserve my rights.
Thank you. I now invite debate on this. Okay. I move. Councillor Timon.
As there's been no debate, I'm happy to pass on and leave my colleague to sum up.
Councillor Billings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, members, this is to ensure through policy that we can commit to providing all of our residents with a reliable 2-weekly, so fortnightly, residual waste, i.e. wheelie bin collection service. And I hope, members, we can all support that, because I think that's what our residents would all want us to do, and that's what this short, small change in the policy wording that you have before you in the motion implements. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Billings. I now move to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Thank you. I move to item 9, Treasury Management Mid-Year Review 2023-2024. Please refer to page 35. This report is for noting and no vote is necessary. I move to item 10, Civic Mayor-elect and Deputy Civic Mayor-elect 2024-2025. Can Councillor Mandy Darling please put her motion to the Council?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to propose that Councillor Swithin-Long be put forward as Civic Mayor 2024-25 and Councillor Kelly Harvey as Deputy Mayor and Councillor Hannah Stevens as Mayor for the following year, which will be 2025-26. I know Councillor Long I've known Councillor Long for a long time, and I know he will make an excellent mayor. He is very compassionate and embedded in his community. He wants to do the best for the Bay, and I know when I was Mayor he supported me all the way with the causes I had. So I know he will be very good, and I wish him well, and Councillor Harvey and Councillor Stevens the year after. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mandy Darling. Is there a seconder?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to second this, and I'd like to thank my colleagues across the chamber for us being able to get to a position that we can all agree the recommendation before us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I now invite debate. Councillor Mandy Darling.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the vote. Thank you.
I now move to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. And now I move to item 11. Composition and constitution of the cabinet and recall of delegation of executive functions. I move to item. This report is for a noting, and no vote is necessary. We now find ourselves on the questions. Item number 8. The questions and answers have been circulated and are noted as submitted. Members, these are available on your iPads under late reports pack. I will ask for any supplementary questions for these members asking a supplementary question. It must arise directly out of the original question or reply. May I remind members that the supplementary questions shall not include a statement. I will be interrupting you if I consider your supplementary question is a statement. Please note that there is a time limit of 1 minute to ask a supplementary question. The response time for each supplementary question is 3 minutes, and the overall maximum time for members' questions is 30 minutes. First round. Question 1. Councillor Manley Darling. In respect to the Rifles Regiment, Freedom of the Borough and commemorative tribute, Councillor Manley Darling, do you have a supplementary question?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I refer to question 2. In respect of mitigating antisocial behaviour at Garfield Road multi-storey car park, Councillor Carter, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So I'm a bit confused by the answer. Would it not be easier and cheaper to have a barrier instead of asking for somebody to go into the car park twice a day to open up and close all the levels, and that's 7 days a week? So that seems to be quite a cost, and an ongoing cost, whereas a barrier would be a one-off cost. So could I have some clarity on that, please, why you've not looked at that when I put it in the question?
Councillor Billings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Carter. It has been looked at. I appreciate you feel that the answer hasn't fully answered the question raised. I'll follow up with you after the meeting with officers to provide some further clarity to help show how that cost has been considered. Would that be helpful? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I refer to question 3 in respect of plans of Crossway site. Councillor Johns, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Just a brief thing. If you do get any more information before the end of spring, is it all right if you could just share it with all the councillors, please? Thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Thank you very much indeed. And of course, Councillor, new way of working. I will share everything I can. With the new partner in place, Wilmot Dixon Milligan, it is vital that we find a solution for Crossways. As you know, it has been demolished. It's now important that we get to the next stage, which is finding a solution. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I refer to question 4 in respect of the support for local businesses since May 2023. Councillor Madison, do you have a supplementary question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do. According to the law firm Brown Jacobson, local authorities typically dedicate about 9% of their total spending to investment in the local economy. So I just wondered what target percentage this administration has in mind for spending on the local economy. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Mayor. I haven't got a figure for you tonight, Councillor Madison. All I can say is that, as you know, it is a priority of this administration to deliver. And that's why there's quite a long list of what we've done in the past 9 months. In addition to that, of course, we've put in for levelling up for the new technology part, which will hopefully bring in higher paid jobs, more industry coming in, which will help with the Epic Centre. As you know, we've also put in for an extension of the Brixham Fish Market, and we've mentioned Crossways. We've also got the pavilion where we hopefully have a deal. So we're actually doing what we said we were going to do and that we're going to deliver. I hope that answers the question. I will ask an officer to come back to you with the actual figure that you asked for. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.
I refer to question 5 in respect of the Clifton with Maidenway Community Ward Fund not being actioned from 2022. Councillor Johns, do you have a supplementary question?
I don't, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
I refer to question 6 in respect of costs in relation to the council's response to homelessness and rough sleeping. Councillor Madison, do you have a supplementary question?
I do, thank you. In view of escalating demand really for housing services and the likelihood that that is a bit of a trend for the immediate future, I wonder if you could explain, please, Councillor Lewis, what if you have any innovative approaches or new ways of thinking with sorry, it's not you, it's with regard to this growing and troublesome human problem. Thank you very much. Did you get that? Was I clear? Thank you.
Councillor Tyman.
Thank you. Yes, I think that if the scope of what you're asking is widespread, and I'm very happy to meet with you and with the team to discuss what they are doing. A lot of work has gone in to try to prevent, where possible, escalation in numbers that are coming forward needing our help because they're homeless. And to a large extent, I think that has been quite successful. The number of people at the moment in temporary accommodation is lower than it was only a few months ago, a welcome trend, and I think that is a tribute to all the work that has been put in. But if you want detailed, I'm quite happy to meet with officers, go through what's going on, how they deal with people, and how they try to limit the number that actually end up being homeless and need our attention. And at the same time, happy to talk to you about how we find long-term solutions for those individuals so that they move out of the temporary accommodation we put them into homes where they can restart what they have found to be a significant and troublesome interruption to their lives.
Thank you, Councillor Timon. Well, thank you, members, for your attendance today. I now close the meeting.